Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. Kat, will you please have them turn on the air conditioning? The temperature in this room is going to go up about 5 degrees centigrade. Why is it going to go up 5 degrees centigrade? Your fear. Hard to believe that an old man going to be 80 pretty soon could elicit that kind of response from other than your mostly cunts. 5 degrees centigrade, actually a little more than 5. When Corona happened, we were blessed, so to speak, not according to my nuns, that this was one of the 3 buildings in Scotland that had the kind of ventilation system that was the kind you needed to suck out Corona. There's only 3. This is one of them. And so when we reconfigured the castle and reconfigured the accommodations on the castle, so everybody had their own bathroom, because before we had 6 bedrooms that shared a bathroom, and then we spread you apart, like we still spread you apart. We were, in business. Or we were never out of business, I should say. Although the police came and shut us down in March of 2020, and made you all go home. And I think now we've caught up where everybody's come back that was forced to go home during that one shutdown. A majority of this seminar is about you controlling your fear. And we've only had 4 or 5 people that had ever come through the seminar that understood that part of the seminar. One of which was an active duty SEAL named Johnny, who's rolling up private security firms in San Diego just as he exits the SEALs. A couple of Rangers, a couple of SAS guys a couple from Mossad, Israel, Secret Service, whatever they call it. And it's the most overlooked portion of the seminar. And the reason the seminar is a building block process is for you to get comfortable with it. After the first step, you do. And then after the second step, which is a building block for the first step. And then by the time you get to the 5th and 6th step, you're, I won't say you're the Terminator, but you're more confident because you have had depending on how much you put into it, between 200 and 500 presentations. And even numbnuts like you do something 200 times. This 10,000 hour thing you've heard about, you 10,000 hours and you're an expert, that's a load of shit. I know people that have done this 50,000 hours and still, can't chew gum and take a piss at the same time. That's what your basis is. We'll get around to the movies and the stuff you said last night in a little while. We told you about the phones. Please don't test me. And going down this under your table, we have cameras in this room. Normally it's an Indian that does it. Sometimes I'm asked what's the most difficult management challenge I ever had, and it says managing 2,800 people in India. That's a motherfucker. Every one of them trying to steal out of your pocket. Now, most of you in this room, or not just this room, in recent years, have been engaged in the, how do you make money on Microsoft? How do you make money on Google? How do you make money on Amazon? How do you make money on Meta? Which has all been a waste of time, otherwise you wouldn't be here. those work for baby steps in creating generational wealth. Generational wealth is created a series of transactions. And the challenge, one of the biggest challenges you're going to have when you get out there, is finding a motivated seller that does not think he can get wealthy off selling his business after running it for 35 years. But if you don't tell him that because you're a cunt, you're going to be 50 years old without doing a deal. For the guys that are already 50, i.e., you should be in a bigger hurry. Hit it. Ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time, you had a dream. You saw life as an exciting challenge, and you took a gusty chance. You made a terrifying leap into the unknown and survived to experience the sweet taste of victory. I don't know when this was, but I do know you did it. Otherwise, you would not be sitting in this room. Perhaps it was a death-defying skateboard or bike trick. We have a couple of bikers in here, not Hell's Angel bikers, but guys that ride bikes. Maybe it was a climbing the tallest tree in the park or asking you out for your first date. Many of you will have at one time taken the frightening step to starting your own business, stacking all of your chips on the table and betting everything on your ability to win. We have several of you that have started a business and failed, gone bankrupt, or about to go bankrupt. So how has that plan worked out for you? Whatever you did, you took what I call a quantum leap. You challenged the world and you were invincible. You fought, you dared, and you won. Then something happened. And that's why you're here. You allowed self-doubt to pierce your armor. You listened to the naysayers of the world and started to believe them. You started to question your abilities. What if my success was just a fluke? Maybe I was just lucky. Supposing I can't repeat that stunt. You started to falter, to doubt. In short, you stopped playing to win and you started playing not to lose. I'm here to tell you that there is a very big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. We have a few of you that have been doing the same thing fairly well or with some success for 10, 20, 30 years. But it's not the same as winning. It's just playing not to lose. There's a difference between super success and lukewarm mediocrity, between winning the game of life and losing or barely surviving. This seminar has one purpose only, to rekindle and strengthen within you the searing flame of desire to make another quantum leap, then another and another, until you reach the stratospheric levels of success and leave all competition behind in the dust. This seminar is about making you really and truly believe in yourself like you never have before, forcing you to recall a time when you acted as though you had no limits to your abilities, when you leapt the chasm and landed victorious on the other side. More importantly, this seminar is about daring, fighting, and winning. I want to tell you at the outset that there is no success without risk, no fighting without action, no winning without sacrifice. If you are not willing to dare to take decisive action and sacrifice in many aspects of your normal life, then this seminar is not for you. I'm here to say you can't have it all, cannot have it all. And any touchy-feely, silk-suited guru who tells you otherwise is just wrong and hasn't done it himself. But if you're willing to listen and learn, if you are prepared to avoid the company of morons and your family, and ignore conventional wisdom, if you will join with me and look the world straight in the eye, dare to stand in your way and take powerful, decisive action, then each and every one of you can become much more successful than you are. This is not some happy, slappy, feel-good, rah-rah rally. I'm not here for you to like me. If you want a friend, buy a fucking dog. I'm here to tell you how to load your pockets with so much money ripped out of your business or the business that you will yet to form that they need a crane to haul it out. If I have to slap, kick, punch, and drag you over the finish line, then that's what I will do. And I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm going to call you names and sometimes act like a nasty drill sergeant. I'll be up here doing whatever it takes to make you realize one thing. You've been too comfortable. You've plumped your sorry ass down on a comfy chair a long time ago and have all but forgotten the warrior you once were. My task over the next week is to get you out of that armchair and turn you into the lean, mean fighting machine ready to take on the world, ready to make your own quantum leap, personally, in all aspects of your life, and ready to haul away cash in the tens, millions, or more. I trust you will listen carefully to my message. And remember, you came here for me to challenge your limits, and I will, not to like or love me. I strongly suggest you keep that in mind, or it will be an extremely tough week. It will be tough enough without any extra burdens. Now, we've had kids in iron lungs that never attended the seminar make hundreds of millions. Iron lung. Everybody know what an iron lung is? It's a machine that, it's like a hyperbaric chamber, which I have one, but it makes you can't breathe, you can't suck up enough oxygen, and it makes your heart pump. It's a big machine. Normally the life expectancy is 6 to 36 months. We've had kids in iron lungs. We've had kids with 70 IQs like Forrest Gump. We have kids with no legs, no arms and no legs. But then there's you. Just because those people did it doesn't mean a goddamn thing that you can do it. And as we had in 2 or 3 seminars ago, we had a guy about 65 years old. He was originally from Norway. He now lives in Dubai. And he's on his, I'm exaggerating, I don't know if it's his 8th wife or 5th wife, but and he thought he had enough money to never work again. But then his last wife, who I've never met in person, but I've seen pictures of, who is really a miracle of God, she's so good looking, has run through his money like shit through a goose. And he figures that he will not have enough money to support her lifestyle, and will run out before he's 70. And he said during the question and answer period after graduation night, which we'll have, and I said, well, you said it best during our one-on-one time. What do the kids fear? He said, because he says, not one question, he commented, not one question his group, like you, was asked during the week, needed to be asked. Because they were all based on fear, your fear. He said, and it's a fear because even though you showed us dozens and dozens and dozens of successes, that doesn't mean I can do it. And I can see that fear in your eyes right now. If fear is a shitty way to run a railroad, but fear works. And even though it's false expectations appearing real, it works. But really, what you need to do is instill fear in others. Otherwise, you're not even jerking off. And in this woke environment of political correctness, and political correctness in the last 15 or 20 years is a manifestation of lack of self-esteem. Because you'd rather be liked than effective. In 1993, when I started this, that wasn't the case. Again, as I said last night, we had no slides, or not anywhere near as many slides as we have. We had no films that we watched at night. We had no webinars. We didn't have 15, 20 people willing to tell you the hurdles that they had, the speed bumps that they had. Yet they went out and made hundreds of millions, in some cases billions, in some cases tens of billions, and in one case hundreds of billions. So why were they able to do it then and we struggle to do it now? We still do it. I told people during Corona, this is our time because people are more afraid and we can take advantage of that in a legal, moral, and ethical way. And instead of you putting your foot down on the accelerator harder, you let off of the accelerator because I told you it was easier now. In combat resolution, I mean, and even the UFC, this bullshit in the cage. Once he knocks him down, he jumps on his ass and tries to pummel his head into the fucking floor, right? Not you. Oh, it's all right. Get up. Get up. I'll give you another chance. Because you're cunts. Warren said, which is no great genius, an idiot with a plan can beat a genius without a plan. And we're going to give you a plan step by step. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. But you're not going to follow it. The most often question I get on my site is, why do you keep telling people they're not going to follow the steps, Mr. Peña? Because they're not. What do you think You won't. Your daughter's going to have her sweet 16 birthday. You're going to get invited to a wedding in India that's a 9-day wedding. 42,000 people are going to be there. Your mom's going to get cancer. And I go on and on and on and on and on. I moved here, or I came to Europe in 1981 because I couldn't take it. There's a movie called Network, made in 1972, got Academy Award for the Best Picture. And the guy says, I can't take it anymore. So I moved here to get away from anybody I knew, my familia. I used to go to weddings, and after a wedding, I don't know what rich people did because I wasn't rich. The poor people all go over to somebody's house to have drinks and cake and sandwiches and shit, right? Because they can't afford to have a fucking deal at the Ritz-Carlton or whatever, right? And the men congregate in a room, the den or whatever the room that's got a TV. And they sit there and bullshit about themselves, right? And drink, correct. And so I walk in the room and my dad says, "This is my son that lives in a castle." I told my dad once, twice, 3 times, if you do that again, Dad, I'm never going to come to another fucking wedding. Like God made green apples. The next wedding, same thing. This is my son that lives in a castle. I've never been to a wedding since. That was a long, long time ago. Same thing at funerals. You go over to some fucking guy's house, one of the cousins or his sisters or brothers, maybe in the old days, if they had a color TV. Same thing. This is my son that lives in a castle. Dad, if you do it again, I haven't been to other than when my dad died, his funeral, which I orchestrated more of, because they can't help themselves. We've had people in here, a girl from Chile, who's a vascular surgeon in Texas. And when she would go to events, she said, her mother would say, "This is my vascular surgeon daughter who has an Olympic swimming pool in her backyard." That was the introduction. Obviously, her mother was proud of her, right? You can't help it. I said last night, there's certain ethnicities in this room that have certain defaults that are locked in for centuries that you're not going to be able to get rid of. Yet you can still do it. I got through another 60 pages of the book. I know I'm smart. There's no fucking question I'm smart. But I've never met anybody that said that was easy reading. So I'm hoping for the fucking atomic bomb in the next 180 pages. My wife and I, when I turn 60, which is I'll be 79 in a few days after this is over, we started giving our money away. It's harder to give money away than it is to make it. Which, better that I should burn it. Now you'd be all in line, wanting money. And we'll talk at the very end, only about 20, 30 minutes, about, because some of you will generate wealth faster than others. Just like some of you run 100 yards faster, some of you do it faster. And, ostensibly in 5 or 10 years, you could be in the position to be giving away money. And it's not easy. We go through a little exercise, how to make the best use of your time. But it's the same in giving away money. Focus on the few, not the many. Last night you saw Barron, the Trump. I'm not even going to ask the question, can anybody relate to how he was raised? Because were you raised that way? I already know. Unless you lied to me on your paperwork. There's nobody in the room that can relate to that. I told you my kids more or less were like that. Because they had not this room, but the estate. We had 3 estates back in the day. We had one in Texas, one in Los Angeles, and one in here. And the estate in Los Angeles, I almost sold to Kevin Costner at one time. He wanted it because it had a helicopter. We had 2.5 acres overlooking the Pacific Ocean, and he could fly into Hollywood or Burbank to make movies. That didn't work out, but anyway. Comments, questions? What did you takeaways on the little 8 minutes on Trump? Anybody? Nobody had any thoughts about it?
So yeah, after watching the movie yesterday, success is not by accident. So Barron was raised in a place where his mom conditioned him to live same way and follow the same blueprint and footsteps of his dad.
There's a reason why since 16 something or other, people have been sent to Harvard. There's a reason why since 1150 or something, people have been sent to Oxford. There's a reason why since 1300 and something, people have been sent to Cambridge. Because smart and rich rub off. Unlike your fucking petty backgrounds. There's nobody in this room that shouldn't have died at birth. Nobody. Except me. What good have you brought to the planet? And I'm not talking about global, none of that bullshit. None. Zero. But doesn't mean you can't bring some value to the planet. I find it very interesting that his wife, full disclosure, I knew the former president in another life, is coming out with her memoir book after the election in late November. That is going to be something to fucking read. That's going to be something to read. Any other comments about Barron? Which as I told you last night, I was invited to have dinner with him, which didn't come out, but didn't work out. But
I think more than anything, it was more about excluding him from losers.
Morons, idiots. And in his particular case, his family, you may not like any of those kids, but they're all high performance. Every single one of them. Did your parents expect you to be, well, I know the answer, but anyway. And I'm not talking about being, from Central America, Panama, and winning the 100-yard dash in Panama. I love the Olympic time because I worked with some of the Olympians, and I know how they think. And we had a guy here a number of years ago that his whole life he had dreamt that he wanted to be on the bicycle, what do you call it, in the Olympics, the team. Well, he was on the team, he didn't win shit. Because his goal wasn't to win a medal, it was just to be on the team. We've had several other guys that just wanted a medal. And guess what? They got a bronze medal. I can go on and on and on. And then we've had guys, and I was privileged to work with some of the Lakers, some of the problem children during their three-peat from the 90s that had been spoiled brats. I remember talking to a kid in my house in Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills. He was getting paid $9 million a year to sit on the bench. And he cried in my den. And Kobe was young. And he wasn't big like Shaq. And I go all down the what do you call it? And he cried. He barely knew how to brush his teeth. Because he led a pampered, sheltered, bubble-wrapped life like many of you. See, you can live a sheltered, pampered, bubble-wrapped life and still be poor. Because you had a what they call a nurturing, a smothering mother that kept, like I had. My mother used to walk me to school in the hood. And then hide behind a tree about a half a block or a block away until she saw me walk in the building. That same school that Sally and I support now, in Doris Place. And that school is famous for two things. One, as I mentioned, I think last night, Marilyn Monroe went there and me. He said Marilyn Monroe didn't give him a fucking dime. And she's dead. So we're coming up on our 100th anniversary next year. Anything else about Trump? Yes, sir, in the back.
He dressed for success since he's 3 years old.
Yeah. And somebody asked me, I think it was you, about the uniform as you walked out of my office yesterday afternoon, early evening. This is the fucking uniform. Whether you're in Panama and it's 145 degrees, this is the uniform that has made $2.3 trillion. Not white, this. Okay, YouTube, go fuck yourself.